Hey guys, it's almost the end of another year, which means it's time to get excited for a whole bunch of games that are going to be releasing next year in 2018. While there are a lot of games releasing next year, I was able to narrow it down to my 5 most anticipated. I will only be including games that were confirmed to be releasing next year as of the time I'm recording this, which is on December 19th, 2017, so I definitely would have put like The Last of Us Part 2 on there, and maybe Death Stranding, those types of games, but there's a good chance it might release in 2019, and Death Stranding probably will release in 2019, so I just didn't want to include them on this list, just the ones that are guaranteed to be releasing next year. That's going if they don't get delayed. So with that, let's move on to my 5 most anticipated games of 2018. Number 5 on my list is actually going to be Sea of Thieves, which is the new Rare game coming to PC, I believe, and Microsoft, Xbox, which I honestly couldn't really decide between this and Skull of Bones, but I decided to go with this just because of the social aspects of the game and the lighter tone it has. Overall, it just looks super open, a huge giant sandbox you can mess around with your friends, and this is a game that I actually kind of forgot about until just at the Game Awards a couple weeks ago. It finally got a release date of March 20th, so that's cool. It just looks really open, and it seems like a good time to mess around with your friends. I do enjoy the art style, and like I said, the lighter tone of the game does look really cool, and it seems like a really fun time just to play with your friends, mess around, do whatever you want, and I do enjoy games like that just because of how open it is and the wide variety of things you can do. And it does seem like you can fight with a wide variety of weapons like guns and swords, and get shot out of cannons, and just a whole lot to do. Exploring islands for treasure also seems like an interesting concept depending on how well that's done. The only thing I'm really concerned about is if the gameplay will actually be fun enough and will be consistent enough to make me want to keep coming back, and if there will be enough content that makes me want to consistently keep playing even after we've played it for a couple weeks. Overall, the whole aspect of just exploring around on a pirate ship with your friends in a huge sandbox is really appealing, and I can't wait to at least try it out when it releases on March 20th. At number 4, I'm also going to have a game I sort of forgot was coming out until it just got a release date. Not a release date, but it just got delayed actually, along with a bunch of other Ubisoft games, Far Cry 5. I really enjoyed Far Cry 4. It was one of my favorite and one of my first games I got on Xbox One. I just thought it was a really good time. I loved the core gameplay, the co-op, the combat. I just thought everything was really well done, which apparently is kind of an unpopular opinion, but I really love that game. So talking about Far Cry 5, I love that the setting is in Montana, and the whole idea of taking down a fanatical cult seems cool, like a religious thing. I do think that seems pretty cool. Visually, it looks great from what we've seen so far, and the core Far Cry gameplay is still there, which I've seen some people complain about, but I personally don't have a problem with it. I love the way the Far Cry games play. I loved Far Cry 4, so I don't really have a problem with this being my second main entry into the franchise. I don't really have a problem with that being the way the game is going to be played. There's a wide variety of vehicles and weapons you'll be able to use, which seems cool, and I also like the aspect of different allies that you can help you with different abilities, like one with a plane, a dog that can get you weapons, that kind of thing. It just seems really cool. I'm also curious to see what the main story will offer, because I know like the Far Cry 3 villain was very well known, Far Cry 4 not so much, but I do know that's kind of a popular part of these games, so hopefully that'll end up working out in this game and be pretty well done. I also think the aspect of this whole living world with all these guns for hire with their own stories is pretty appealing, like we saw in the original reveal trailer. I thought that was cool, and overall I'm just really excited to play the game, and there does seem like a wide variety of things to do, and the core gameplay just seems really fun, and I can't wait to buy the game when it releases on March 27th. At number 3, I'm going to have Detroit Become Human. This is a game I've been interested in ever since it got revealed last E3 at the PS4 conference. This is a PS4 exclusive that looks just really original and a super interesting concept. Basically, you take on the role of these 3 androids in the near future in Detroit, where they're super technologically advanced and they have a lot of things, and basically they just have androids that they can do stuff with, and they each have different roles in society. And you have to make decisions and shape your own narrative similar to a Telltale game or Until Dawn. I believe so far we've seen 3 characters in this game, and their stories so far, all of them look really interesting. Just at the Paris Games Week around a month ago, we got a new trailer of a new kind of character and her story, and how she's basically a witness to child abuse and that kind of thing. It just seems like the game's going to hit on a lot of important real topics, which is cool. I know a lot of people are complaining about that and saying they shouldn't address it in a game, but technically a lot of people do view games as art form. They have the same kind of rights, I guess, as movies, so as long as they don't like treat it lightly and they take it as a serious issue, which it seems like that game is, they should be able to treat it the same way as movies do, the same way as books do, that kind of thing. So I do think it's really cool. So overall, we don't know specifically when in 2018 this is releasing, but I am very excited, and the whole idea of this type of game where your decisions truly impact the story, because I know a lot of times in Telltale games they don't really have that, but Until Dawn apparently did that pretty well, and this game seems like it'll do the same thing. And I am really excited to play this game whenever it does decide to release sometime next year. At number 2, I'm going to have a very obvious pick, and one that I'm sure will be somewhere on everyone's list for games coming out next year, and that's Red Dead Redemption 2. After years of waiting, Red Dead 2 finally got announced, and it was originally planned for a fall 2017 release date, but now it's pushed back to spring 2018. Even of this recording, we still have almost nothing on this game besides the 2 trailers. However, what I'm suspecting they'll do is similar to something like Injustice 2, if you guys know how kind of the marketing went for that game, where the game was set for a spring 2017 release date, and we didn't get anything until January of this year, where they started dropping new reveals every week until launch. It just really helped me get consistently excited for the game, because there weren't really ever periods where we just didn't really get anything on the game. What we do know, however, from Red Dead 2, from the trailers, is that it's a prequel to the original Red Dead, and we're playing as Arthur Morgan, who seems kind of like a criminal, like mainly in the focus of the story, and not as opposed to John Marston, who he had to come back to protect his family, that kind of thing. And there's not too much I can even say about this game, but I'm obviously very excited since it's Rockstar, and I'm sure everything about it will be pretty good. One of the most anticipated aspects of Red Dead 2 is also going to be Red Dead Online, and everything you'll be able to do in the open world with your friends, because I do have good memories of the original Red Dead, playing with my friends, stealing carriages, that kind of thing. I am really excited. So overall, I'm super excited for this game, can't wait to see more. I just can't wait for it to be released whenever it does decide to come out, and see all the stuff I can do online with my friends. And at number 1, I'm going to have Marvel's Spider-Man from Insomniac. I've been waiting for a game like this really as long as I can remember. Being a huge Spider-Man fan my entire life, I've been waiting for a great game that truly captured exactly what it's like to be Spider-Man. And although there have been fantastic Spider-Man games in the past, like Spider-Man 2 and Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions, which I personally love, this one seems to be on an entirely different level. Visually, it looks fantastic, and I fully believe that Insomniac actually has full passion and actually cares about what they're making. I like that it's an original story, not really based on a different interpretation or a different universe in the Marvel Universe. I just like all the decisions they've made with the characters and their designs, like Spider-Man's suit, which at first I wasn't really a fan of, but now I really like. I love the huge white spider, and I think it looks really cool. All the action scenes look absolutely astounding, and I think that they're going to manage QuickTime events well. Now, talking about the gameplay itself, I think it's the best way they could possibly do a Spider-Man game right now. It's very similar to Arkham in terms of its stealth and how you'll be able to upgrade different gadgets like a web trap, which is good because all those games are fantastic, and the different environmental takedowns look good, and overall the game just looks very polished, I think is the best way to put it, and well made. The combat looks absolutely amazing, and I just can't wait to try this out whenever it gets released next year. I also don't think it's going to get delayed, which I've heard some people talking about. I do want them to take all the time, however, that they need to make the game as good as possible. So that's my list for my 5 most anticipated games coming out this year. Don't forget to tell me in the comments below what your most anticipated game is for next year, or it doesn't even have to be next year confirmed, it can be in the future, it can be like Last of Us Part 2, Death Stranding, that type of thing. It can even be Beyond Good and Evil 2, which I also am really excited for. And don't forget to tell me your most anticipated game in the comments down below, and thanks for watching Majestic Gaming.